What is up, boys and girls? We are talking fallout from a new TNA Impact Wrestling as they continue to come to us from the New York City area. Of course, this was all filmed last month in the month of June, but hey, it's all good, man. I hope you've been enjoying these past couple of weeks. The TNA has been in the NYC area, and if you have, I definitely want you to sound off, especially about this episode that we saw on Spike TV. As always, we welcome you all for joining us. Your host right here, Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael, Lee Sanders. Longtime subscribers, viewers, you know what to do to be a part of this. You can post those comments down below. If you're checking us out on your iPad, whatever respective tablet device, mobile device, we now have enabled a Q&A app. So for those of you that's accessing us through one of those methods, you're more than welcome to click that little app icon. You should be able to see it, and you can definitely send your questions to us that way. New feature that we're going to be rolling out for you guys. Looks like we now have the ability to share links with you guys, which is definitely going to come in handy given some of the things that had came about with tonight's episode. Hey, if you're new to us, I would love to have you subscribe so you never miss out on all the great content we do for you here on a weekly basis, whether it is breaking news, doing some pretty good and slamming reviews, or we have some pretty fun, insightful interviews. We got a little bit of something for everybody. So get those comments down below. Share this a number of ways: Google+, Facebook, retweet it. Hit us up on Twitter, RCWR Show, or on Facebook at Infinity One Productions. All right, so on that note, this was basically one of those type of episodes that was really kind of setting up the Destination Next free event that's going to be appearing on Spike TV next week. Of course, one of the big decisions that is on the hands of one Austin Aries. Would he relinquish his X Division Championship belt to the Olympic gold medalist and new director of wrestling operations, Kurt Angle, for a shot at the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, or would he continue to remain the X Division champion? Austin Aries, a very huge decision that he had to make. And, he did make that decision. We had saw Kurt Angle towards the second half of the show asked for Austin Aries to come out to render his decision. Austin Aries, at first, he kind of came off as if maybe he was going to keep that championship. At least that's the way he kind of sounded at first. But then we had saw MVP and Bobby Lashley come out, and MVP tried to do his best to talk Austin Aries out of cashing in that championship to take on Bobby Lashley. And when it was all said and done, I think actually MVP only made matters worse and actually kind of reminded Austin Aries why, if anything, he should definitely try to go for that TNA World Championship, at which Austin Aries had said to the Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle, he said, you know what? I'm going to turn in this championship. I want a shot at the TNA championship, but when I defeat Bobby Lashley, and I loved how he looked at Bobby Lashley and said, and Bobby, notice how I didn't say if, I said when I defeat you, we're going to start a new tradition. Remember, Austin Aries is the man that had introduced Option C, which was whoever the X Division champion was, come around the same time that the Destination Next event is supposed to happen, that X Division champion, whoever it is currently, will have the option to relinquish the championship for a shot at the TNA champion and the big belt, or continue to be the X Division champion. It was Austin Aries that has set that up in storyline wise, and Austin Aries was looking to, or he is looking to create a new milestone for TNA, which is Option D, which is basically whoever the X Division champion is, they can challenge the TNA champion anytime, any place, which would kind of, like, if I'm not mistaken, would kind of make the whole scenario of Option C just be irrelevant, wouldn't it? I'm just trying to make sure I'm understanding it straight. So Option C, whoever the X Division champion is, come a month or two before the Destination Next event, they can either cash in the championship for a shot at the champion or keep being the X Division. But if you come up with option D, and like you're the X Division champion and you can challenge the TNA champion anytime, any place. Again, what's the point of option C? I'm just talking this out, trying to see if it makes sense to you guys. I'm a little bit flabbergasted when I hear that. I understood what TNA was trying to do. They were trying to really do a really good job in building up Austin Aries and all that, but I don't really think that's the route that they should have gone. I think, if anything, it should have been a scenario where let's fine tune it a little bit for them. Maybe Austin Aries could have said, and he did, to his credit, say that when he becomes a TNA champion, he's going to be one of those type of fighting champions that's always going to be defending the belt. He's going to be able to take on anybody, anytime, any place. He's going to represent. Wonder where we've heard this before. Kind of sounds like Eric Young, doesn't it? But hey, in either case. So, he's laying all that out there. But I think it would have been a little bit better with regards to option D if Austin Aries / TNA would have said, okay, you know what? Whoever the TNA X Division champion is, once a month, they'll be able to challenge Austin Aries for the championship. Maybe they could have went that route, right? Yeah, but then again, you kind of go back to option C. So I don't know. I'm gonna leave that to you guys. What would you had loved to had heard Austin Aries say right there? Because it just sounds like no matter how I try to look at it from whatever respected angle, it just sounds kind of messed up either way. I tried, man. I try. I'll let you guys have fun with regards to that. But yeah, it's going to be Austin Aries taking on Bobby Lashley at Destination X next week for the title. That should be a damn good matchup, by the way. Talk about Goliath taking on Austin Aries. By the way, anybody notice how Bobby Lashley, Bobby, had a big little nick on his forehead, around his ear? And I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, this guy did do double duty past couple episodes, didn't he? Because if I'm not mistaken, TNA probably filmed like about maybe 2-3 episodes back to back. So you just see all that stuff that's happening on Bobby's head and his ear, and you're like, damn, they couldn't like clean that up a little bit, or maybe get him some band-aids that match his skin complexion. Yes, believe it or not, folks, there are band-aids out there now that appropriately are accommodating for us black folks. So yeah, now you know, and knowing is half the battle. But I just thought it was kind of, I don't know, maybe I'm nitpicking, but I just saw it like as clear as day. I was just jotting down some notes of tonight's show, and I look up and I just see all these damn nicks on Bobby Lashley's head and ear, and I'm like, damn, what the hell, So, but that was a really great segment that we had saw between Austin Aries, Bobby Lashley. Is it just me, or is like Bobby Lashley really coming to his own as this heel champion? I love the great little video packages that they've been doing for this guy, man. It's just been unbelievable. They really have been doing a good job in building him up as the TNA champion, all while doing a superb job and not really having him talk that much. And when he talks, it's very short, it's direct, he just keeps it simple. I like that. It's really working within his limits, because we all know Bobby Lashley isn't that great of a talker, but it's good the way that they've been building him up past several weeks. So that was pretty much the midpoint of what all had came about from Impact Wrestling. Now, we were just talking about MVP. We definitely need to rewind it back to how Impact Wrestling had began tonight, which had saw Bobby Roode take on MVP in a Falls Count Anywhere match. MVP throughout this whole bout was suffering on that leg, which he legitimately had injured a good while back. No telling where his leg was at this point. I'm assuming that his leg was at 100% at this point, or maybe up to it. I don't think TNA would have really risked him being out there and basically making his injury exaggerate even more. You know what I'm saying? So this right here, Falls Count Anywhere. At first, we heard the music of MVP. He didn't come out, and cameras had quickly went to the backstage area where we saw MVP arguing with the Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle, and he was telling Kurt he wasn't going to go out there because of his bad leg, Bobby Roode, he had been waiting so patiently up to this point to get his hands on the MVP, and we saw Roode actually leave the ring, go backstage, bring the fight to MVP, and they were pretty much just fighting all around the ring. On that note, now we actually did see a cameo or two by Kenny King, who tried to help even things out. Well, actually, no, not even things out. He actually tried to help out MVP, get the one up over Rude, but we saw EY come out, so that basically had took care of those guys. As far as who won that match respectfully, I got to be brutally honest with you. I was actually a bit distracted. I'm tempted to say Rude had picked up the victory for that match, but don't quote me on that. Those that have watched Impact Wrestling tonight, you guys are definitely more than welcome to post the results for the other folks that didn't watch and get them caught up to speed and all that. But I was paying attention to the next segment very carefully as we had saw cold-blooded Matt Hardy return. You had heard about this probably via your friends, or maybe if you go check out your favorite wrestling website, you probably had heard about this, as many of the wrestling websites had released a series of spoilers practically for every single New York City show. And now look at them, they don't really have that much to talk about as far as TNA news. They're only lucky if and when TNA has their wrestlers go out and do interviews, things of that nature. Other than that, it's been pretty relatively quiet for TNA news, which is a bit unfortunate. But we had saw Jeff Hardy set up the return of Matt Hardy properly. And I love how he had addressed the whole Willow character, because Jeff Hardy comes out, he has a Willow t-shirt on, and he says to the fans that Willow had to go away for a while, but that Willow will be back someday. And I love how you heard just a great small section of fans. It was a decent amount, though. Like, out of 100%, it sounded like it was probably about 25% of the fans actually heard booing and heckling. And it actually kind of got to Jeff Hardy a little bit. I kind of noticed, but he was able to rebound very nicely and say, hey, whether some of y'all like it or not, Willow will be back, whether it's the face paint, whatever. And it was just a great segue into him saying that, not only is Jeff Hardy back, but that he brought somebody back with him, because basically this is a new era for TNA, he proclaimed, and that going forward it's all about building the right type of future for the TNA promotion. And he pretty much had introduced his brother Matt Hardy that way, which, by the way, I'm not sure how many of you are aware of this if you peek into our channel enough, but we actually had the opportunity to chat with Matt Hardy a good while back, and I definitely want to share that link with you guys that might have not had the opportunity to check that out. So check it out when you guys get a chance. It was actually a pretty solid interview. I'm actually looking for the link right now so I can send to you guys. So those of you that's checking us out via mobile or tablet device, or however you're accessing us, you should be getting ready to see a link pop up right about now. See if we can send it to you here. Yep, boom, that went through. All right, so you guys should be seeing something right about now if you have that enabled right there. All right, but yeah, so we saw Matt Hardy pop up, and it was pretty solid seeing him come out. And keep in mind, we hadn't seen Matt Hardy in TNA wrestling, my God, since like 2011, believe it or not. And of course, you guys remember the circumstances of Matt Hardy coming into the TNA product. Y'all remember how he had joined Immortal. At one point, he had faced Sting for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. He ended up not winning it. There was another time where I believe he may have teamed up with his brother to take on, God, I want to say it was RVD and maybe Ken Anderson. It's another time where he had faced the tag team champions. That didn't come through. I was actually a little bit surprised that Matt Hardy never did win a title when he was in the TNA promotion. I had a hard time because I could have sworn that Matt Hardy did win some type of a title in a TNA promotion, but he didn't, and I was a little bit surprised at that. But you know, Matt Hardy's time in the TNA product, it was basically, wow, Matt Hardy was in TNA. It was like really freaking fast because like I still remember where there was like a series of weeks where Matt Hardy was off of television, unexplained. TNA didn't say anything about what was going on, and then we have found out a couple of weeks later that Matt Hardy had actually been terminated by the promotion. Apparently, they really didn't like his attitude and a couple of other things that was going on with him at the time. But you know, it's kind of interesting how things just come full circle. You know, here we are. We see Matt Hardy reunited with his brother once again, and this is totally awesome because they're not only reunited. Okay, I mean, let's be for real. These guys have been hooking up off and on the independent circus. They've even done something past couple of months with their Omega promotion. This is different in sense of we get to see them reunited again on national TV, on cable television. So I think for that reason, that's what made this moment even more special to see tonight, as both the Hardy brothers, they admitted that, you know, in order for them to really get to that top, you know, they got to go big. They basically got to go all balls out, and they want to start their reunion on a good note. And what better way for them to kick things off than by challenging the current tag team champions, the Wolves, for those belts, at which we saw the Wolves come out. They did accept the challenge, so it looks like at Destination X, we're going to be seeing the Wolves, Davey Richards, Eddie Edwards, defend their tag titles against the Hardy Boys. That should be a very, very solid matchup right there. I want to take this pause. Welcome those of you that's checking us out right now. You are watching Impact Showdown, episode 111. Your host right here, Black Avenger Lee Sanders, as we are talking Fallout from Impact Wrestling for July 24th, 2014. Those of you that's going to be checking out the recording of this, you're going to be seeing an ad break right about now. Hang tight just a few seconds. We come on back. We're going to continue the discussion of TNA, Impact Wrestling. Also get you guys hooked up with the very latest in TNA wrestling headlines. So stick around. We'll be coming right back. All right, and we are back. We're talking Fallout from TNA Impact Wrestling. Let's continue on now. We had saw DJ Zima Ion, Bromance. They had a nice little segment that was going on, bragging and all that, talking about how good they look. By the way, have you guys seen the new Bromance video? I mean, it's still relatively new. It came out about maybe 2 months ago or whatever. Hilarious stuff. Check it out when you guys get a chance. But one thing that I thought was very interesting was the fact that at one point there was talk about Robbie E's appearance with his girlfriend in real life, Brooke Tessmacher, on the CBS show. What the hell is the name of that show called? The Greatest Race? Whatever the hell. I don't watch that crap. I can't stand reality TV personally, but it's supposedly like this #1 show on CBS or whatever when it comes to reality shows. The Amazing Race, that's the name of it. But I kind of thought it was interesting the way that they danced around naming the show. It's like, well, wait a minute, TNA, if one of your stars is appearing on this television show, why aren't you boosting the hell out of it? Why aren't you letting the wrestling fans know that they're going to be able to catch him? You know, has it premiered yet, or are we talking about some other show that Robbie is doing? Because I know there was actually like a total of, I want to say he's involved in like maybe 3 other shows. But I mean, in either case, even if they weren't talking about the Amazing Race, they still could have done some promoting for whichever other show that he's currently doing right now. I mean, just makes sense, right? But hey, in either case, it is what it is. We actually saw the return of Low Key. Yes, Low Key. I ain't talking about Kaval. Oh, what a silly ass name too. For those of you that remember his time there in the WWE, no, that guy will forever be known as Low Key. That is like one of the most underrated, hardest, most gifted performers I've ever seen step foot in the ring. Right up there with Petey Williams, who, as we said a couple of weeks ago, had announced his retirement. Low Key going up against DJ Zima Ion. I loved Low Key's attire too, man. He just had this whole manic vibe going on. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe there was a brief period of time, a brief period, I might add, I got to stress that, where low key was manic back then under the original name Suicide. And oh man, low key coming out to some TNA inspired colors, black, blue mixed in with the white. I was really feeling it. Only thing that was missing to me was a mask, because I was expecting this guy to be wearing a mask. I mean, it literally looked like some type of a new suicide slash manic costume, for real. Every single time I looked at it, it just reminded me so much of manic slash suicide. Low key picking up the victory. To my knowledge, I didn't see him do his infamous finisher from the top rope, where he just steps on his opponent's abdominal area from the top turnbuckle. I don't recall seeing him do that, but low key picking up the victory. Hey, we had saw the return of, man, and I never thought I'd be able to say this guy's name ever again, but we saw the return of King Mojo Jojo. And if you guys know your Powerpuff Girls, you'll appreciate that. You probably got a chuckle out of that. No, King Mo Lao, but as we have been calling him here for the past couple of years on Impact Showdown, King Mojo Jojo had made his return, and it was kind of funny just the way he appeared. It was like no sizzle, there was just no pop. If anything, it was just a backstage segment as he appeared with Dixie Carter, as Rockstar Spud, EC3, Rhino. They were trying to get their game plan together, because in the later part of the night, to basically close out the show, there was going to be a six-man tag match, New York style, as those guys were going to be facing Bully Ray, Tommy Dreamer, Rockstar Spud. And we saw King Mojo Jojo say to Dixie Carter, hey, look, if I come across Bully Ray, I'm going to knock him out. I'm going to get him good. I'm going to get him hard tonight. And so that was pretty much it for King Mojo Jojo. We did see him one more time right before that main event match. You know what? Let's go ahead and let's talk about that main event match. There's some other good stuff that we could definitely talk about, but I definitely want to get to that since we're talking about it right now. That main event match, Tommy Dreamer, you know, I think he has this great, what's the right word, obsession with the rock grunge band Alice in Chains, because for the longest, and you hardcore Tommy Dreamer fans, you can definitely back me up on this. You guys remember how in ECW he was pushing Alice in Chains, Man in the Box, which, you know, I gotta say, and this is probably going to be like one of only maybe 2 times I'm going to be mentioning a WWE reference. But, you know, when you look at the WWE Network, those of you that do have it, and you go back and you check out the ECW promotion before WWE had acquired it, I mean classic ECW, it's so just, it's not the same when you see some of these wrestlers come out, because if you remember watching the promotion the first go round, you remember what they came out to, and Tommy Dreamer was a perfect example of that, because when he was in the original ECW, he was coming out to Alice in Chains, Man in the Box, and then it was kind of funny when WWE acquired him, he kind of came out to a nice little bootleg version, and you're kind of like, they're still kind of okay. And then here, his time in TNA, here he is again, and tonight was very evident. You heard the Man in the Box thing going on, and it's kind of like, and it was kind of funny seeing some of you guys' interactions on Twitter. I definitely got to show some love to one of the people that we were interacting with. It was a guy by the name of Matt, who had brought up a good point, that, you know, hey, it kind of sucks that Tommy Dreamer is coming out to a bootleg version of Man in the Box. And, you know, it's all said and done, he understood there was a whole bunch of legal technicalities and all that, and somebody kind of misconstrued it, what he said, as a bash. And I just thought it was kind of funny, because I understood exactly what he had meant. You know, it's just, unfortunately, you have some artists, they don't want to loan out their song, and, you know, because they just don't want any type of association with that particular individual or product, or they just can't ultimately agree on the right amount of money. I mean, it just really depends, you know. But in either case, Tommy Dreamer came out, no social media plugging on his attire tonight. Like as far as the Twitter goes, all we saw was a nice little "Don't be calm, get hardcore" or whatever. Basically, him promoting his House of Hardcore promotion on his T-shirt. That was pretty much it. Solid matchup right there. You know, let's pick up towards the end. We had saw something very, very interesting go down. We had saw two men wearing blue jeans and black sweaters with hoodies over their heads as the fight between Bully Ray, I can't remember who it was he had locked up. Maybe it was EC3, who knows. But I remember the action had went over towards the fans that were in the first row, and the only thing that's protecting them from the action is the guardrail. And somebody had actually jumped from over the guardrail, attacked Bully Ray. You see security, they're trying to get this guy off of Bully Ray or whatnot. And you see that it's none other than Gene Snitsky. Yes, it wasn't my fault. Gene Snitsky, another guy that we had the opportunity to interview on the RCWR show. He was like one of our first top 5 guests for the year 2013, I think, to kick it off. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking about it now, and I no longer see it here, but we're going to make it be available soon. We actually had worked on a nice DVD interview version of the interview that we did with him. It's just audio only, but there's a really nice introduction that I had set up, talked about everything that led up to the interview. We're actually going to be making that become available, and a few other little cool surprises for our premium channel that's going to be here on YouTube in the forthcoming months. But, Gene Snitsky, my God, he's picked up a little bit of weight. I mean, he still looks kind of recognizable. I missed that long hair and the wicked goatee that he had. Getting a little sidetracked, though. So while the action is going on between Gene Snitsky, Bully Ray, and all that, we see Tommy Dreamer. He managed to hit a power driver on Rockstar Spud. Looked like the match was pretty much going to be done after that, but EC3 comes in as a kendo stick, and he's basically going back and forth with Dreamer. Next thing you know, we see another man who is wearing blue jeans, hoodie, come in, attack Tommy Dreamer. You're like, what's going on right here? This man would reveal himself to be none other than Big Ezekiel Jackson. And if you guys are like, what? Well, that's a WWE former superstar right there. He was a member of the Core, former Intercontinental Champion. And those of you, by the way, that don't know Gene Snitsky, he's another former WWE superstar. So we saw two former WWE superstars that had appeared tonight. So if you're keeping track at home and you like to get all technical and all that, and I know there's going to be some comments that's going to be coming from somebody that's going to be upset at the fact that we basically had an episode dominated by former WWE guys, because you had your Jeff Hardy, you had your Matt Hardy, you had a little cameo there by Kurt Angle. Low key doesn't count. He spent more time in TNA than he did when he was in WWE. So I definitely would not label him a WWE guy. So I'll definitely give you guys the Hardy Boys. You can take Kurt Angle as well, but I mean, let's be for real. Kurt Angle has spent more time in TNA than WWE, yet more people recognize him for all the accomplishments that he made in the WWE. That's what kind of makes that a little bit more tricky. Rhino, well, I can give you Rhino. You can say former WWE guy, but then you got to look at Gene Snitsky, Ezekiel Jackson. And I don't know why, but for the love of me, I can't figure it out. We actually were supposed to have a sit-down with Ezekiel Jackson a while back, and I don't know what happened. It was like he dropped off the face of the planet. I don't know. But, hey, we wish him nothing but the best. Still a fan of his work and all that. He's still A-OK in our book. But yeah, so we saw Ezekiel Jackson attack him, and it was kind of funny how Mike Tenay and Taz, which, by the way, their commentating was fairly entertaining. You can get behind it and all that. We had heard Taz and them, they really did not build these guys up properly. It was kind of like, who's that? That's Big Zeke. That's Snitsky. Yeah, these guys had worked in another promotion, and it's kind of like, oh, so we're now stopping the whole WWE reference, huh? Okay, interesting, but hey, whatever, man. But great segment right there, as pretty much it ended with Dixie Carter, Rockstar Spud, EC3, Rhino, with their two new hired goons, Snitsky and Ezekiel Jackson. Just pretty much ended like that. Nice little strong faction that Dixie Carter is starting to build right there. Here's the thing that I don't really understand though. Where the hell is Kurt Angle as all this is going on? I mean, we never once heard that Kurt Angle had left for the night because he had some type of a family emergency or he had an executive board meeting to go to. We never heard anything to that effect. So, I mean, to see all this stuff go down, why wasn't Kurt Angle involved in this segment to a certain extent? So, Dixie Carter is just basically running shots. I mean, I need to see some type of a collision between Kurt Angle and Dixie Carter in a way where Kurt Angle says to Dixie, look, you may be the owner of TNA, but I'm the one that runs the day-to-day operations here. I'm the one that sets up these matches, and I'm letting you know right now, if you ever taint one of my main event matches again, you and me are going to have some serious problems. I would have preferred it if it kind of maybe went in that direction or whatever. I'm hoping that's what happens in the next batch of episodes, but I just need to see some type of an explanation that can kind of justify Kurt Angle basically stepping one side and allowing Dixie Carter to do her thing. TNA, they did it right, if I'm not mistaken, on last week's episode, or maybe it was the episode before, where Kurt Angle had grabbed Dixie by the arm and was like, where the hell do you think you're going? And she's like, I'm going out there to the middle of the ring. This is still my company. Get your hands off me. And Kurt Angle was like, you really want to do this? Are you sure you know what Bully Ray is capable of? And she just shook off those comments from Kurt Angle. I need to continue to see that type of consistency happening while Kurt Angle solidifies his authority as the wrestling operations director and all that. If you guys feel where I'm coming from, post your comments. Let me know what you think with regards to that. Hope you're enjoying our recap and review so far. If you are, definitely go out of your way. Keep those comments coming down below. Give this piece a thumbs up. Share this in a number of ways. Google+, retweet, Facebook it. One of the many ways you can spread a good word about our content. All right, let's see. What else can we talk about? Bram Magnus, they have picked up a victory over Anderson and Gunner. Still seeing a little bit of trust issues between Samuel Shaw and Mr. Anderson, as Mr. Anderson still feels that despite the fact that Anderson is getting great help from Gunner and the Arkham Asylum have found him to be competent enough to leave their care and all that, Anderson just does not like that creepy bastard for the love of him. And it's kind of funny, too, because as all this crap was going on between Bram and Magnus, at one point we actually saw Bram, if I'm not mistaken, he was getting ready to attack Gunner because he had him down on his knees, and these guys won pretty dirty, let me say. Bram was getting ready to go to the body and the head of Gunner when Samuel Shaw came in, and he basically just sacrificed himself to Bram. It was kind of like, here, hit me instead. And I thought that was just kind of weird because it's like, why do that when you should just be attacking this guy? Gunner is supposed to be your friend and all that. You should just go on ahead and freaking attack. It was kind of weird the way they did it. It was almost like Samuel Shaw was trying to like submit himself as sacrificial lamb, if you will. So Bram hits him. Gunner was briefly able to catch a breath, get back on the offense, but we saw the numbers game just pile up. Monster Abyss had showed up, even the odds quite nicely, and the way things are looking right now, kind of appears as though we may see Abyss and Bram collide, because Bram, he wanted him a piece of Abyss really bad. Remember, you got a little bit of unresolved resolution right here from several weeks back when Abyss and Jeff Hardy had teamed up to take on Bram and Magnus. If I'm not mistaken, I believe God, was that at Slammiversary, guys? That we had saw that tag match go down between those two teams. I think it was Slammiversary. So the way it's looking right now, we're probably going to see these guys collide, if not on next week's Destination X episode, maybe the following week on that respected episode of Impact Wrestling. Let's do this. It's about time for another ad break. So for those of you that's going to be checking out the recording, you're going to see another ad break. Just hang tight. We come on back. Going to continue to talk of TNA Impact Wrestling Fallout for July 24th, 2014. You, my good friends, are checking out Impact Showdown episode 111. We'll be coming right back. All right, and we are back. All right, we're talking Fallout from Impact Wrestling. All right, this was actually one match right here where I was very silent throughout social media. I literally just put my phone down. I put it on mute. I stopped what I was doing. Of course, I'm talking about the Knockouts match for the Knockouts title between Gail Kim, Taryn Terrell. This was the rubber match, and my God, let's not forget SummerSlam 11, where we had Gail Kim, Taryn Terrell. I mean, they had one insane freaking match right there. If you guys have not seen that, you need to. Damn good matchup that was. And then they followed it up a couple of weeks after that on an episode of Impact Wrestling. This was all in 2013, folks, in Las Vegas. And, I mean, pretty much SummerSlam, Taryn Terrell took the first fall. Then you had the rematch on an episode of Impact. Gail Kim took that one. That match, it was a ladder match where there was a contract dangling from the ceiling. Whoever grabbed it got a shot at a future shot for the Knockouts Championship. This was a damn good rubber match that we had right here. I mean, I was a little bit concerned that there would be some serious rust for Taryn Terrell, but I mean, the way she was just moving in the ring, she was able to keep up with Gail Kim. I mean, from the moment that the bell rang, Taryn Terrell, not only is she beautifully stunning. Did I mention she's a blonde? I love blondes, by the way. Oh, love them. I mean, I was a little bit intimidated because, she's a new mom and all that, so I really wasn't sure, how serious she was going to do this match and all that, but it seems as though that hunger, that passion, that desire to want to go out there and physically perform for the fans, it's still there. It's still intact. Really was enjoying it. Gail Kim, no complaints as always. Definitely one of the greatest female wrestlers to ever lace up a pair of boots, no doubt about that. And I hope that before she's done with TNA Wrestling, I thought it was going to happen this year, but next year maybe we can start a new trend tonight. Gail Kim, TNA Hall of Fame 2015. I would love to see that happen. If there was ever a time to have like a first female go into the TNA Hall of Fame, everything that Gail Kim has done for that Knockouts division, always making female wrestling represent big time. I definitely feel that she needs to go in. Let me know what you guys think about that. You down for Gail Kim, TNA Hall of Fame in 2015? Sign off. Post those comments down below. And we'll actually follow up on what y'all have to say on next week's Impact Showdown with regards to those results. So definitely cast your vote, yes or no. And if you can't let me know why not, you want to see that happen. We saw those damn pigeons, the beautiful people, mess up this match. We didn't get a proper finish. And you know what? Some people were very upset with regards to this. I was actually fine for it, and I'm going to explain to you the reason why. Think back to when Taryn Terrell had returned a couple of weeks back and how she had paired up with Gail Kim, and it's like, oh, wow, these two are just faces now. They're buddy chums. There's no bad blood anymore. What kind of, okay, are we missing something? What's going on right here? So, for me, I love the fact that we got this rubber match, but at the same time, you need to have some serious investment into this match, And there was part of me as I saw this match coming about that said, well, wait a minute, how come TNA didn't try to spend a couple of weeks hyping up this match. I mean, this is a freaking rubber match right here. What the hell? Which definitely kind of gives me the suggestion that TNA kind of looks at their match cards on like an episode to episode basis, kind of backing up something that Bruce Pritchard had said in a shoot interview that he did for RF Video, which was basically that's how TNA operates. They basically go on an episode to episode basis. They don't really lay everything out as some of us would kind of like to believe. At least while he was there, they really didn't lay things out months in advance and all that. But you know, the damn pigeons, the beautiful people interfering in this, I didn't have a problem with that. I thought it was a nice little touch. Basically, it gives TNA Creative the opportunity to go back to this match somewhere down the line between Gail and Taryn when they see fit, and hopefully there'll be some bad blood between these two girls the next time they do collide for that Knockouts title. But the way it's kind of looking right now, we're probably going to see Taryn and Gail hook up to take on the beautiful people. But then you have to have in the back of your mind, well, what the hell is going on with Madison Rayne? Well, I guess we could say at this point Madison Rayne is no longer in the title hunt because she's got her hands preoccupied with Brittany, right? So I guess that kind of sidelines her for a little bit. You know what? Honestly, between you and me, guys, I'm fine with Madison Rayne not going anywhere near that Knockouts Championship. I mean, I got to be brutally honest, and I know we're probably going to have some hardcore Madison Rayne fans, but come on, let's be honest. She's not that good of a wrestler. You know, honestly, her best times for sure was when she was involved with the beautiful people, but, you know, it's really kind of hard for me to give her props as a female wrestler. Now, when it's all said and done, I appreciate all females. I don't care the shape, the size, the color. I don't care, you know, as far as, hey, at the end of the day, you're a female wrestler, you're going out there, you're entertaining. I respect the hell out of that, but she's definitely not one. Put it to you this way. If I'm paying for a TNA event and you ask me straight up, who am I paying to go see? I'm probably not going to mention her name. I would probably mention Bobby Roode and a bunch of other guys, but when it comes to the females, I'm probably most likely going to mention Gail Kim, Taryn Terrell. Hell, man, I'll even take ODB. Where the hell is ODB for that matter? I miss that girl, man. Hopefully we get to see her come back real soon. It's been relatively quiet as far as ODB news. I haven't heard a peep from her. Anybody that's a hardcore ODB fan, you can provide a new update. Go ahead, post some updates down below. But, yeah, that decent matchup that we had right there. Great Muta. He made a rare appearance for the TNA product. Of course, you know, TNA Wrestling, Wrestle One, they have this whole relationship going on, talent exchange and all that. And we saw Great Muta, who, and look, if you guys are not hip to Great Muta just yet, and you need to know where you can start, look, you're talking to the right guy. You came to the right place, okay? You can check out any Great Muta versus Sting match, all right? Which, by the way, I'm pissed that there isn't a Sting versus Great Muta match on the upcoming Sting DVD that WWE is going to be releasing. I got to take a second glance at it, but could have sworn I didn't see any Great Muta match. I was a little bit dumbfounded by that. Maybe they didn't get clearance from Muta. I don't know, but you can start with any match between Great Muta, Sting, also Great Muta versus Ric Flair. What else could I give you guys? You know what? Start right there, and then tell me what you think about any of those matches that you saw for that, all right? But we saw Great Muta in action. It was a quick victory, too, man. It was like less than 2 minutes. He had defeated Robbie E., basically sprayed green mist in his face, hit him with the Shining Wizard, 1, 2, 3. That was pretty much it. From there, though, we saw the Cowboy, James Storm, appear, and he talked a really hot game of trash to the Great Muta. We actually I'm trying to think how it came about. Well, I just saw James Storm get physical with Great Muta because he ended up spitting beer in Muta's face, and he just started beating the crap out of him. One of Great Muta's students from the Wrestle One promotion. He actually came to his aid, tried to help him out, but James Storm had made quick work out of him. Then we saw Sonata appear, which had sent James Storm running out of the ring. And Great Muta and his student, they're standing there. They're like, come on, James Storm, come on. And we actually saw Sonata attack Great Muta and that student from behind with a steel chair. So yeah, looks like Sonata has gone over to the dark side. I'm not really sure what to make of this. I love the student betrays the teacher. I love that, right? But at the same time, I'm just kind of looking at this and I'm kind of saying to myself, okay, well, why should I really care? Because you all did such a really great job in trying to hype up Sonata and talk about how he's from the Wrestle One promotion and how he's representing not only Great Muta and the Wrestle One promotion, but he's basically going out there representing his people from the Far East and all that. And yet you just do this turn. I guess this was really TNA Creative's way of trying to spark new interest in Sonata because, I mean, hate to sound negative because that's the last thing I want to do. But if I got to be brutally honest, Sonata's wrestling just really hasn't been up to par. It kind of seems to me like it's diminished over the past couple of months that he's been affiliated with the TNA product. We may disagree on that, and that's okay, but in my eyes, that's just how it's looking. It just kind of comes off as if there are certain matches where he'll definitely shine, and I don't know, maybe this ultimately has to do with the fact that he's now being shared between Wrestle One and TNA, as a new deal was reached between TNA. Wrestle One is going to see him definitely do a lot of his time with the TNA promotion, but he's also going to be spending a significant amount of time doing events for Wrestle One. So I don't know, maybe this is a case where he's just trying to make sure that longevity-wise, he's able to continue to go in there, do what he needs to do for TNA, then when the time is right, go do what he needs to do for Wrestle One. I just hope a scenario isn't going to occur where TNA kind of says to themselves, look, we're paying X amount of money for Sonata, and meanwhile, he's going to these Wrestle One events for you guys, and he's delivering 5-star quality matches, but when he's over here, he's only giving us 2.5, barely a 3 out of 5 type of match. So I just hope that there's no conflict that's going to come in the near future with regards to Sonata. But the way it's looking right now, we have a new story arc that has begun where the student has betrayed the teacher, and I just can't help but wonder how exactly is this going to culminate. Is it going to be a scenario where Sonata's going to take on Great Muta, and Great Muta's going to try to put over Sonata? Wishful thinking right there. Post your comments. Let me know what you think about that. Other than that, that was pretty much it for Impact Wrestling. I gotta admit, production value-wise, TNA Wrestling, I love it. No complaints, man. No complaints whatsoever. This episode kind of felt a little so-so to me. It just kind of felt a little average for me. If I had to compare what I saw last week to this week, I mean, wasn't bad. Wasn't good. Am I going to remember this episode like a couple of weeks from now? Probably, because Matt Hardy returned. Me being a old school wrestling fan, appreciating good old school wrestling and all that. Great Muta, I'm probably going to remember this episode for that. Definitely seeing Snitsky pop up, only because I interviewed the man and I've been a big fan of Snitsky for years. I'll probably remember this episode. But now you have also a new story arc in explaining Gene Snitsky and Big Ezekiel Jackson's association with Dixie Carter. I can't wait to see how they're going to explain all this. Kind of heard a little bit on what's going to be happening with these characters, but I'm not going to spoil it for you guys because we try to keep it spoiler-free over here. As far as TNA wrestling headlines go, there really hasn't been that much happening since last we were on the air with you guys. John Gubrick, Big John, he had announced on Twitter that they have come to terms on new contract signings for get this, Brooke Tessmacher, Samuel Shaw, and we did mention earlier, Sonata, they are signed to new deals. Hopefully we can like really start seeing this pay off big time. I mean, Samuel Shaw, he's continuing to be in rotation on Impact Television. Definitely Sonata. Brooke Tessmacher is the one that I'm really concerned about. It's like, okay, are you guys just signing Brooke Tessmacher because she's a pretty face? You know, what do you have planned for Brooke? Because I hope those plans include seeing her be put into a position where she has a more prominent role. I mean, sister isn't even in her 30s yet. She's still what? At least 25, 26, or 27 or something like that. So I mean, she's got a long career ahead of her. So as long as she wants to continue to stay involved in wrestling, you know, it's just a little bit infuriating for me personally as a guy because I see a beautiful hot babe in Brooke Tessmacher, and I'm being very respectful here because I know she's taken, so I'm not trying to come off distasteful or whatever. But she's stunning. She's beautiful. I mean, she could be taking her good looks and she could just be doing modeling full time or being involved in Hollywood or whatever. Hell, she could probably get herself in a position where maybe she could be a broadcast journalist on location for Access Hollywood or whatever. She's got the looks like that, all right? But instead, she chooses to put that to the side really and get involved in the wrestling business and TNA wrestling. I mean, I really hope you guys are definitely going to be utilizing the hell out of her. Remember, the last time we saw Brooke Tessmacher, she was a guest for EC3 and Rockstar Spud several weeks back. There was like this segment that was going on where they were basically trying to use her as an opportunity to trash talk Bully Ray, and she wasn't having it. That was pretty much the last time we saw her, and that was like, what, guys, almost a month and a half, maybe almost 2 months ago. So if anything, I'm just hoping for the best. Otherwise, I just think it's wasted signing, personally. But that's all I have to say with regards to that. Also, other TNA news, looks like several wrestlers in the United Kingdom had took to Twitter to announce that they had accepted a audition to participate in TNA's British Boot Camp 2. First group of wrestlers announced was the Owen twins, Casey and Lee Owens, Martin Stone, RJ Sign, Mark Andrews, and Noam Dar. It looks like the finals will be taking place in London on August 16th. Kaylee Ray is rumored to have also gotten an audition, but so far looks like it hasn't been confirmed just yet. Other than that, boys and girls, that has pretty much been it. There really hasn't been that much else that's been going on. We told you guys about the Vince Russo news that had came about on our radio edition of the RCWR show from this past Tuesday night. So if you haven't checked that out yet, go scoop that up. But what we can do for you guys right now is definitely get to you all's comments and see what you all have to say with regards to tonight's Impact Wrestling. First thing we're going to do is go to Twitter here, see what you guys have to say. And it's nice and quiet on Twitter. I love when it's nice and quiet on Twitter. So let's go to you guys' comments instead. I'm trying to look comments up from you guys from like 2 different directions here. So bear with me here, especially with this new Q&A app. I'm like testing it out here, trying to see if we got anything. All right, looks like Q&A app is good. So let's see what you guys are saying on the video down below here. Reggie, what's up, Reggie? Childhood relived. Great seeing Hardy Boys and Dudley Boys back. I'm glad Ezekiel Jackson is doing something. He was underrated back in WWE and with that core group. Gene Snitsky was also underrated. Oh, hell to the yeah. I agree with you 100%, especially with a guy like Ezekiel Jackson. My God, that man has muscles that are like in places that like I didn't even know muscles could exist. That guy is freaking ripped, always is in good shape. You know, it just kind of seemed like he got the bad end of the stick, if you will. At least that's just my opinion. You know, every single time I look at Ezekiel Jackson, I can't help but think about Biggie Langston because I'm saying to myself, okay, Biggie Langston, you're basically taking the place of Ezekiel Jackson, right? That's just how I think about it. It's just kind of sad that WWE didn't even try to give Ezekiel the proper chance. I'm sure that probably frustrated him a little bit, but you know what? The powers that be, the Lord, God, however you want to call it, or however you want to refer to it, Allah, whatever, man. Where one door closes, another one always opens. That's the old saying. It seems like Ezekiel has been able to rebound quite nicely. And Gene Snitsky, for those of you that may be like, where the hell has this guy been? What has he been doing? He's mostly been doing bodyguard work. I know at one point he was actually doing bodyguard work for, oh man, who's the guy that used to date Madonna, the baseball player? I can't think of his name right now. Is it Aries? A-Rod? You got me, guys. I don't know my baseball like that, unfortunately. But he was actually doing some bodyguard work for him recently. So, yeah, that's mainly all he's been doing. He's just been doing some various gigs here and there. He's been trying to start up his Hollywood career. He's been involved in some B minus slash C rated movies, stuff that's probably like going direct to DVD and all that. But he's been busy. He's definitely been busy. Steven, do you think they'll do Hardys versus Dudleys? Short answer, yes. Krishna, Sonata turning on Muda was the highlight of the show for me. It kind of caught me off guard, and I like the idea of James Storm and Sonata working together. Rest of Impact was meh at best to me. Yeah, I definitely feel you on that. Steven, as far as Impact Wrestling tonight to last week, I did address that already. Do you think Lashley and Aries will be a good match? Also, do you think the Hardy Boys will win the titles? As far as Bobby Lashley and Austin Aries, yeah. Yeah, I mean, let's not take anything away from Bobby Lashley. When you do your research on this man, he is one of the best when it comes to technical wrestling. Austin Aries is definitely one of the best when it comes to technical wrestling. So, short answer, yes, they're definitely going to be delivering a very good match. It should definitely be one that we're going to be talking about, assuming that we don't see a supporting cast of characters interfere and it's just these two guys going at it one on one. That's what I would love to see happen. Hardy's winning the tag titles, I'm not going to say, because I need to actually watch the match itself to really be able to grasp what's going to be happening as far as the future goes for the Hardy Boys, because original reports had came about that TNA Wrestling had offered Matt Hardy, this was several weeks back, they offered Matt Hardy a large sum of money to appear at these New York City shows. Matt Hardy originally turned them down. Then TNA Wrestling regrouped. They offered him even more money, and Matt Hardy has said, okay, you know what, I'll go ahead, I'll do it. Now, bear in mind, Matt Hardy has responsibilities as the Maryland Championship Pro Wrestling Champion. Not to mention, he's also going to be coming over here in about less than 2 weeks for the big time wrestling event at the Montgomery County Fair. Those of you that's going to be in the area, let me know. Maybe we can go get some brews or whatever, because I'll actually be going to that event. Not to mention, looking at this move that Matt Hardy made, no doubt this definitely has maybe severed the relationship that he was having with Ring of Honor. We really haven't been seeing him do enough appearances for them in recent weeks. So I need to see what's going to happen with this tag match for the titles, because if Matt does become the tag champions with his brother, then that's definitely a sign to me, at least, that Matt Hardy is going to be with the company for a much longer basis, if you will. Now, I heard that Matt Hardy's profile has been added to the Impact Wrestling roster website, but I'm not really looking at that. I'm not really going to be homing in on that. I need to see what exactly is going to be happening with this tag match. So, my friend, I really can't say for certain. Let's see. Charles, option E should be to forget all the options. I love that, man. Drummer Not, what's up, man? Too many debuts, returns, and random moments. It made the crowd confused and me because what are we supposed to care about with the roster being that it is? Sonata turning heel now? Why? There was no build up. It was just another TNA babyface going heel moment for no reason. And that seemed to be a lot that was going on for this episode. It kind of seemed like, and maybe we should have actually retitled this episode of Impact Showdown, like it's good to be a bad guy, because it just really seemed like a night that was just really dominated by heels. And I'm just saying to myself, all right, so the top baby faces right now, we got Jeff Hardy. We're led to believe, hang on one second, guys. I see one comment that I need to get rid of here real quickly here. Nothing derogatory. I just want to get rid of this comment here. Let's see. Bear with me. All right. And okay, sorry about that, guys. What was I saying? I can't remember what I was saying. Let me jog my memory again. Look at the last comment. Yeah, it seemed like it was a good night to be a bad guy, basically. So you got Jeff Hardy. Matt Hardy, we're kind of led to believe he's a face right now. All right, so I'll buy that for a little bit. We got Bobby Roode. We got EY, right? Abyss. I guess we can say Abyss is a good guy, right? We got Ken Anderson. We got Gunner. I guess you have a good balance of good guys rather than the bad guys, right? I do agree with you, though. It did seem like there was a lot of debuts to really process and take in. It kind of felt like one of those Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, you know, where they just crammed a bunch of crap uh, in one freaking episode or one freaking movie. You know, I mean, you had your Matt Hardy returning, you had Gene Snitsky, you had Ezekiel Jackson, you had Great Muda, and I do admit they were really testing the fans' patience. It definitely kind of came off as one of those type of episodes where it was like, let's just cram all this stuff in here and just make it look really awesome. But the end result, it didn't really kind of come out of that way. So I definitely can agree with you guys. Rabid, hey, just do WWE crap review there where what the hell? Just do I don't know what the hell you're saying, man. So I'm gonna have to remove that comment. You need to take your time, think it out, type it out. Does it look good? Always look at it before you send, because this looks like gibberish to me. I don't know what the hell you're saying right there, okay? Not insulting you. I'm just letting you know how it looked. If I can't make out what you're saying in the first couple of seconds, I'm moving right along. That's just how it is. All right, let's see what else we got right here. Roach, what's up, Roach? Great show. TNA destroyed that Nickelodeon show called WWE Raw again for the 6th week in a row. I must admit, you know, well, I'll tell you this. At least we didn't have any Flow Rider on this episode. I'll definitely say that much. And Castro, let's see what you got to say right here, man. I'm trying to skim this before I let it go. Yeah, Castro, I can let that slide. I got to dress it up a little bit. Why the heck does TNA change people's names for no apparent reason? Manic, what's wrong with the Suicide name? And they didn't even change his character, just the name. That's so dumb and random. And like, how many times have they changed cast? Like, damn. Well, to answer your question with regards to Suicide, it may sound a little bit silly to you, but if you really think about it, look, this is the deal. And I can't believe I have to actually explain this, but I'm going to, because maybe you don't really, you know, I really don't want to mention it, but suicide, all right? Just think about the definition of that term, right? I think TNA Wrestling, just from that PR standpoint, they actually had got a light bulb, and they said, you know what, having this guy come out and call himself Suicide, not really a smart move, especially when you have younger wrestling fans that's watching this. I mean, can you just imagine somebody in school saying, I love Suicide? Excuse me? I love Suicide. Go to the principal's office, and then your parents get called, and so I think from that standpoint, that's why TNA said, okay, you know what, let's go ahead and let's change it up. I admit, I love the Suicide name. I remember when this character was first created. It was exclusively for the TNA Impact Wrestling video game, which, by the way, I'm probably like one of 100 people that has all the achievements unlocked for that game. But that's where the character had originated from. And when I saw that character was actually going to be coming to life, actually debuting in the TNA promotion, I was ecstatic. But, as time progresses, unfortunately, we have some folks that look at the things that's going on in the field of entertainment, and in this case definitely wrestling, and there's definitely those advocate groups and concerned parents, all that other good stuff, that will look at a character like Suicide, and you see the names as clear as day, Suicide, and then one of his taunts is, a little gun gesture, or he goes like this, and it's not good. So that's why they went on ahead and they did the whole Manic thing. That's why if you notice now, Manic doesn't even do this anymore, because he used to do that when he was Suicide. None of that. Now he just goes in there, pretty much does the whole damn thing, wrestles. I can't even think of his new taunts now, but it's nothing that looks suicidal. So that answers your question right there. I hope you understand, and if you still can't appreciate it, at least hopefully you can kind of understand, at least from a business standpoint, why TNA decided they wanted to back away from it. As far as Kazarian goes and all that, no comment. I don't have anything to say on that. You actually have to ask the people that have been there in the TNA product for a long time. Hell, if we're able to maybe chat it up with Kazarian, or maybe one of my colleagues gets the opportunity to chat it up with them, I'll definitely let you know, and maybe I can send your question along to them so that they can ask the man himself, all right? And that is pretty much gonna do it. All right, so on that note, I think we did a pretty solid show. I was debating on whether or not we were going to do a new weekend edition of the RCWR show for you guys, but the week is just kind of going a little bit slow right now. I'll make some type of a announcement on our Facebook page whether or not we're going to do a new live weekend edition. I know one thing I can tell you guys, which is we have a new home now when it comes to live episodes of the RCWR show, and that's over on SPREAKER. And been loving it over there, man. If you haven't checked this out, make sure you do. We got all the links in the episode description below, so check it out when you guys get a chance. And that is going to do it. All right, so I'm going to go on ahead and shut this bad boy down. One more time, if you enjoyed our recap and review, definitely go out of your way and give this piece a thumbs up. You can also keep those comments continuing down below. If I have not gotten to your comment, I will shortly be responding to you all individually between now going into Friday, all right? And be sure to share this. You can Google Plus it, retweet it, Facebook it, one of the many ways you spread a good word about our content. That is going to do it for those of you that's looking to check this out on the downloads. Give me about 90 minutes, maybe a little less than that. I will definitely upload this for your listening pleasure, all right? That's it. Everybody be safe and be kind to one another. I will see you next go round. Everybody, take care.